Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 6th City of Fort Collins Urban Design Awards. I'm Shauna Van Zee, and I will be your host tonight. In case you aren't familiar with this program, every few years, the City of Fort Collins issues a call for entries for recent projects that contribute to the design of this community. The entries are reviewed by a selection committee, and the awards are presented at this event. There's one special award tonight, the Hall of Fame Award, which honors lifetime career contributions to local urban designers. We also seek nominations from the community for this award, and in each of the Urban Design Award programs to date, there's been one clear nomination, and the committee didn't even need to discuss it further to affirm it. This was the case this year as well, with 3 awards for the founders of VFLA Architects, who were rightly nominated as a group. You'll be seeing the projects and Hall of Fame honorees shortly, but first, to kick off the program, I'd like to introduce our Deputy City Manager, Jeff Mihalik, to the stage.
Good evening, everybody. Really? That's all you've got for me? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is truly a celebration. So we're going to start really quietly clapping. Come on, louder, 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 louder. Yeah. This truly is one of my favorite events of the entire year because every single person in this room is creating an amazing urban fabric, and every single person that lives here, that visits here, that gets to spend time here, enjoys the very, very hard work you do. So thank you so very much. As I said, everybody here has a place, and everybody here is making this place more amazing, and we're here to recognize just a handful of people that have really come up with really creative, innovative projects, and let's be honest, very complicated projects too. As I look around the room, I see the heads go up and down, whether you're a landscape architect, an architect, a builder, a designer, city planner. These are hard projects, you guys, right? And we're here to recognize that hard work, the innovation, to make sure that people know in our entire community that you guys make this a special place. So again, let's hear it for everybody in the room, and thank you all very much. And here's the thing, I think that you'll all agree with me. Every single time I have someone come visit me in Fort Collins, whether it's a friend, family member, colleague, we show off the beautiful mountains, the Cache La Puta River, but aren't we proud to walk around the community and show off our amazing urban spaces, our beautiful buildings, our lovely landscapes? Again, it's because of all the hard work that you do. So we actually received 42 entries, which is amazing for this awards program, 42, which is cool, but we really had to cull it down to just a few. But I'm here to tell you that all 42 folks that were nominated, all 42 projects were worthy of an award. So before I move into that, I really want to recognize this year's committee members. It's critically important. They took a ton of time to review every detail of all these projects, went into and did site visits to make sure they were evaluating correctly, because these awards are meaningful to everyone that's here. So I want to recognize these folks. So I'm going to describe them. You guys can try to figure out who they are. Got to make it fun, right? This person is a design architect at CSU for 14 years, former Landmark Preservation Commission member, currently serving on the Planning and Zoning Board. Per Hogestad. Is Per here? Let's clap for Per, even though he's not here. Yep. Next gentleman is the founder and president of Tatanka Historic Associates, Inc., member of the Colorado State Historic Preservation Board, former chair of the Landmark Preservation Commission, Ron Sladek. Is Ron here? Let's hear for Ron. Next is an architect. Oh, that doesn't narrow it down, does it? Sorry, couldn't refuse that one. Retired former vice president of R&B Architects, Ken Field. Is Ken here? Hey, Ken, thanks for being here. Next is an associate professor of landscape architecture at CSU and served as a public art consultant to the city of Fort Collins, Joe McGrain. Where's Joe? Let's hear it for Joe. Yeah. Next is a principal at Davis Architects. Darn, that gives it away, right? although there's two. So previously taught design and theory classes at the University of Arkansas and the New School of Architecture in San Diego, Lori Davis. I didn't see Lori, did I? Let's hear it for Lori. And two very important staff members, long-range planning manager for the city of Fort Collins, really internationally known city planner, the man, the myth, the legend, Cameron Gloss. I know Cameron's not here. Okay. And the Director of Community Development and Neighborhood Services for the City of Fort Collins, Tom Leeson. I don't think Tom is here either. Right. So I just want to share with you that Darren Atterbury, our city manager, and Wade Troxel are very disappointed they couldn't be here. They love this program. Darren was here when this started. And again, I know he wanted to be here. It's really important to him, and he sends his regrets. The mayor also wanted to be here so much, even though he can't be here in person, he did prepare a statement, and we're going to have Shauna read that to you. So thanks again for being here tonight. We really appreciate it. Shauna.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, if you want to have a seat here. Thank you, Jeff, and he will be awarding our awardees tonight. I'm happy to have the honor of sharing Mayor Troxel's thoughts with you tonight as well. Dear attendees and award recipients, I've asked this letter to be read tonight since unfortunately I am unable to attend the ceremony due to a scheduling conflict. On behalf of the City of Fort Collins, I thank all 42 applicants. I am thrilled to see stellar design in our community and to shine a spotlight on some exemplary projects and contributors. The Urban Design Awards program depends on you taking the time and effort to enter your projects, and all of the projects are valuable as part of this record. I would have relished the chance to attend this event to personally congratulate each of you for your contributions. Your passion is exhibited through your talent that enhances our community by deepening our collective sense of place. Urban Design Awards gives recognition for outstanding architecture, public spaces, urban design plan, urban fragments, and sustainable design. As a mechanical engineering professor at CSU, I definitely appreciate design, systems thinking, and creativity to make a project stand out. We must celebrate the exemplary community we live in and recognize intentional design and how it's created by all of you. I congratulate each of the award honorees and the new Hall of Fame inductees from VFLA Architecture, Frank Vaught, Joe Fry, and posthumously Justin Larson. Have a wonderful evening together, celebrating your dedication to urban design and making Fort Collins an even better place to live. Sincerely, Mayor Wade Troxel. All right, let's get this thing started. When we call for entries, we use some general categories to help all of us organize our thinking. The categories are useful for narrowing down the awardees, but they aren't rigid, and a lot of projects overlap across the categories. We all understand urban design transcends categories, and it involves all kinds of work that goes into making places people love and care about, as we see in Fort Collins. I'd like to invite the design team of the city's Utilities Administration Building to come down here along the side. This is a very collaborative project that was submitted in two separate entries that together overlapped across all categories, and both entries were awarded. The committee decided to award the project for public spaces and sustainable design, and also for public art in the urban fragments category. We'll start with the award for public spaces and sustainability. This site was in a section of the downtown Fort Collins that has evolved continuously from industrial outskirts to the civic center heart of the city. The design team found a way to move and rehabilitate the 1950s era drive-through dairy bar, a historic landmark Googie-style building that was on the development site, to become what we know as today the Butterfly Cafe. While the building was moved 100 feet to the east, the whole site design kept the angle of orientation of the Butterfly building as it sat at the entrance of the historic Poudre Valley Creamery, which had occupied the site in the past. Walkways, steps, ramps, walls, and railings are aligned with that angled access and form spaces for seating, bicycle racks, and planting areas. The angle carries through to the back of the site as well. The site design incorporates sustainable ideas such as biofiltration swales, low water landscaping with a lot of natives, and an experimental living wall. The building was designed to be one of the most energy efficient in the state, with a goal of net zero classification. This energy use graphic shows the design for half of the LEED baseline energy use. LEED is a prominent system of measuring sustainability in development projects. In addition to efficiency, solar electricity generation is a significant part of the forward-looking design work. In just 2 years, these features have already garnered national and international attention. In just a couple of years since construction was completed, it's the first project in Colorado and fourth in the world to be certified LEED version 4 Platinum. It's the Colorado Green Building of the Year for 2018, and for its operations in 2017, the building earned an ENERGY STAR score of 100. The second entry for this project was for the exterior artwork that includes a 2-story entry column that highlights the Poudre River watershed, wall reliefs that illustrate the processes of coal, solar, and wind mechanics in power generation, and a carved stone bench that matches the wall relief motifs. The Poudre River is the reason Fort Collins is here, and the entry column illustrates its upper natural watershed on one side and its lower urban watershed on the other. After some serious work to implement the concept, concrete retaining walls integrated into site design and landscaping help tell stories of where our electricity that we often take for granted comes from. So there are 2 awards for the 2 entries submitted for this project. Logan Simpson Design is receiving the award for Public Spaces and Sustainable Design, and Art in Public Places Program Director Ellen Martin is receiving the award for artist Andy Dufford, who is at the Grand Canyon working on a project there. Now I would like to invite the team rep up for a few final words. So if the team would like to come up.
So we'd just like to briefly touch a little bit on the start of the project. And so the city of Fort Collins really had high aspirations in starting out in the planning and the design of this project. And it had to be sustainable, and it had to pull design aesthetics from what the existing site was with the Creamery building and the Butterfly building as well. And with those in mind, the name of the project was Utilities Administration Building, so it had to be extremely energy efficient. So I think these awards are a testament to the city's following through on those ideals and how, the project came to be. So, thank you.
Now I'd like to invite representatives from the Union Bar and Soda Fountain team to come down to the front. This project also had 2 entries, one for architecture and one for the public space of the patio, and both entries received an award. We'll start with the architecture award. At one time, the former park site at the corner of Jefferson and Linden Street seemed all but undevelopable. Long and narrow, this was a leftover space between an active rail line and a state highway that was serving as a small park. But where it was easy to see the challenges, the business owners turned developers envisioned a bold investment in the future. The Union Bar and Soda Fountain not only has become a lively restaurant, but also serves as a needed hinge connecting the historic River District and the Old Town Core. The site was once home to the Tedman House, a 3-story hotel for original settlers that was demolished early last century to make way for the railroad. The team explored the historic district surroundings in depth, and in the end, the design of a single-story building, its length, height, open interior, facade, harkens more to old railroad depots and better reflects the scale of historic 2-story buildings across Jefferson Street. Detailed design iterations were discussed with historic preservation staff, the Landmark Preservation Commission, and the Planning Department, leading to the final design. It's intended to highlight the big-shouldered architecture called for in the River District guidelines, while using brick to transition from the Old Town vernacular to the more industrial River District theme. As they worked their way through the city's design review process, the owners came to embrace and lean into the challenges on this site. They made some early bold decisions about what not to do. They decided against adding a parking lot to the west, knowing that the Firehouse Alley parking garage was coming. And wanting to create interest and activity at the street corner, they decided against placing the building right there. Instead, the team sited the building to keep as many trees as possible, and they decided to enliven the corner with a 125-person patio. The indoor and outdoor spaces worked together to foster the positive energy and activities needed to draw pedestrian traffic both to and from Old Town. Indoor and outdoor lighting were both designed to enhance the evening dining experience, with the glass garage door facade as a window display that creates an open invitation to drivers, bikers, and pedestrians alike. Since it opened in February of 2018, the Union has proved to be the missing stitch in the urban fabric for giving pedestrians a reason to cross State Highway 14. It hits all the goals for the owners and the city at this corner. The second award for the Union is for the patio in the public spaces category. The design of the patio at the corner wasn't as important as the architecture. Previously, the leftover site had been leased to the city by the railroad as a park space. The site had some nice trees, and the owners went above and beyond to transplant trees into the new patio space, and they gladly planted new trees to continue the small urban forest on the west side of the building. Along with the patio, the Jefferson streetscape was renovated. Lighting makes an important statement in an iconic entry monument, a lighted stage, and lighted trees. Industrial-styled fixtures match the existing pedestrian lights on Linden Street. This is a view of the lighted stage along the sidewalk. Layers of space make the interface between indoors and out inviting, and the strong design creates a variety of spaces to explore within the patio. So if you haven't been, you should go try it out. For the two awards here, VFLA is receiving the award for architecture and Ripley Design for public spaces. Now I would like to invite VFLA Architecture and Interiors up for a few final words following Ripley Design for public spaces.
Well, this is a project that you see clients willing to take a chance on a site that's not optimal. On paper, the site's extremely undesirable. Next to a train track, state highway, on the corner of an up-and-coming district, long and narrow. So we're just excited that the clients were willing to take this on and chose us to kind of take their vision and turn it into reality. We love taking our office out to Union, and it's amazing how that kind of turned into the patio and the interaction with the indoor-outdoor and keeping that urban forest. We're proud that the clients were willing to keep that. So thank you guys, and we greatly appreciate the honor. Thanks.
And I just wanted to say, the design team is up here, but, the ownership group, especially Christine, really played a part. And a lot of that patio is her picking out the site furnishings and stuff. So it's definitely beyond this group, and it was a total, complete vision. So, and even Andy, if you go out there and it's a rainy day and there's no flooding going on, that's because he did a great job in civil engineering. All right, thank you.
Up next is the architecture category. This category is for buildings that contribute to and support quality urban design and achieve excellence through a unique relationship with the immediate surroundings. For the first architecture award, I'd like to invite Chris Aronson of Vaught, Fry, Larson, Aronson Architects, and any other design team members to come up for their work on the Ginger and Baker renovation. The entrepreneurs behind Ginger and Baker were motivated by a passion for pie, a belief in its ability to bring people together, and a conviction that the historic feeder supply building on the corner of Linden and Willow Streets was the perfect location. That stuccoed brick building started as a feed supply company 115 years ago, but as the city expanded from its agricultural roots, the structure eventually was vacated and left surrounded by empty lots. It fit the vision for a quaint pie shop, but the building alone could not contain the full impact of that vision. As plans and dreams expanded, a 3-year design-build process kicked off in 2015 that would culminate in a multifaceted restaurant and event facility. The resulting project, Ginger and Baker, not only enhances the street and engages community, but it also deepens understanding and appreciation for an iconic structure that has served over a century as a grain elevator, warehouse, and gathering place. If you know Fort Collins, you know that this is on the same block face as the Union. Again, the same architectural team explored the rich historic context. These pictures show the building dating to 1915. The final design juxtaposed the historic building with a floating pie slice-shaped addition, which kept as much of the original structure visible as possible. The goal was to make the new work read as new while allowing historic buildings to maintain its own character. Proposing the sleek metal addition was a gamble, but it was a risk that proved successful and paid off. The complex has been hailed by local photographer Seth Pickett as the coolest corner in northern Colorado. The blend of design has amazed the community, and Ginger and Baker now serves as an important rehabilitation success for the evolving River District. The main preservation goals were to revive the essence of the building and reuse as many of its interior materials as possible, including gears and flywheels. The 20-plus person team of designers and consultants developed an energy that carried them through the 18-month design process. This is a photo from before and today. I know, great, right? For entertaining and conducting business, grabbing coffee, or getting married, Ginger and Baker has established itself as the epicenter of the River District and a must-see place for anyone visiting Fort Collins. This complex rehabilitation is a once-in-a-lifetime project in Fort Collins that took a lot of factors aligning perfectly to bring it to fruition. Now I'd like to invite the team rep up for a few final words.
So this project would not have happened for many reasons, but primarily for the passion of Ginger Graham and her passion for hospitality. The meetings with her were extremely detailed, enlivened with passion for hospitality, pie, getting people together, and really keeping the historic, and allowing the architecture team to look at, all right, what's the new piece going to be, and giving a chance on kind of new contemporary architecture and creating that juxtaposition. And so throughout the design, from the exterior to the interior, we focus on that concept of the juxtaposition. So all the new steel throughout the project's painted black, and to really highlight the old and the new. And being with Botfry being in business since 1986, this project, I think, ranks third on man hours in our office. And it wouldn't be for these two right here, which is Rebecca and Jeff. These two spent hours and hours and hours, details, site visits to make it what it is. And you can, I think as you guys go through the space, you can really feel that, and you can see that attention to detail. That attention starts with the client all the way through the design team to the subcontractors and the men and women installing it. So working collaboratively with them was extremely critical on this type of project. So we're just extremely grateful to be a part of it, and it's certainly a pride and joy for us. So thanks, Ginger. Yeah.
Next, I'd like to invite up the Elizabeth Hotel team to make their way down. With a sense of sophistication you can't get anywhere else in Fort Collins, the Elizabeth is a music-inspired and locally influenced hotel that quickly became as much a scene for locals as for out-of-town visitors. To gather, socialize, and connect. 3 restaurants and bars host business meetings, sunset happy hours, music, and much more. The hotel brought a much-needed parking garage and alley makeovers that you'll see in another award later. The location near the center of Old Town encourages guests to explore FOCO, and street-level activities invites walking and welcomes locals. Design-wise, the building's masculine massing addresses both the adjacent single-story historic buildings along Walnut Street and pairs with the neighboring Mitchell building to create a gateway to Old Town from Mountain Avenue and enhance views to and from the site. Decorative metal screens adorn the Chestnut Side Street facade, patterned to evoke the intricacies of the city's historic buildings, of industry, and of the feminine. The red brick facade is balanced with zinc panels to connect and unify with Old Town and bordering industrial neighborhoods. Historically, hotels were often the most refined buildings in a town center. They were meant to be welcoming and approachably luxurious, and they celebrated the specific place and the visitors who were staying there. A holistic approach harnesses the creative arts to inspire visitors through design, music, art, ambiance, and a unique personality. A lending library of instruments, a vinyl collection, and record players is also included. The juxtaposition between light, elegant design and rustic, bold detailing creates a lobby space that feels approachable yet inspiring. Large buildings can be scaled for the pedestrian by using detail and craft that rewards slowing down and paying attention. Guests can sit here and play an instrument. Early research found this quote from the very earliest days of Fort Collins. I recall a song we sang in Auntie Stone's cabin when we had our merry parties and dances. Auntie Stone being the founding mother of Fort Collins, this quote largely informed the personality of this project. This hotel hopes to add to that recollection and to romance. This design work quickly generated a lot of press, as you can read here. Now I would like to invite the team rep up for a few final words.
Thank you. A great project for us. I think it was a really fun design exercise. The best sites and the best projects for us are always at the confluence of different kind of intersections of places between city and nature, between urban and rural, between feminine and masculine. And I think the fun idea on this project was to think about a hotel that could be graceful and elegant and still have some lace and ornament to it. Architects talk about creating modern architecture, and those are really austere and devoid of any detail and craft. We kind of took a different angle with this one and said, let's find craft, let's look about detail and embrace that personality through some of those refined details that you often found in elegant old buildings. The client absolutely afforded us that opportunity, so big thanks to the Bohemian Group and Sage and McWhinney to kind of let us explore down that journey. I don't see Stu here, maybe he's here, but also shout out to Stu McMillan, who invited us from Denver to participate on this project. Craig and John and the team, rest of the design team, absolute thanks to you all as well. Really brought the inside and outside blended together seamlessly, so thank you, and thanks everyone.
This next category is for a plan or study that provides a development or redevelopment strategy in the midterm to long term with inspirational value and the potential for significant benefits for Fort Collins' positive changes, choices, and evolution. Would the West Central Area Plan team please come forward? The West Central Area Plan is a community-driven and highly collaborative plan for the neighborhoods generally south and west of Colorado State University, an aging area facing pressure for change from student housing development, the growth of CSU, and impacts of significant infill and redevelopment upon original development that dates back to the 50s. The plan provides a vision and policy direction for the neighborhoods, which all together form the highest density area in Fort Collins. It's a direct reflection of engagement with the community in walking tours, listening sessions, workshops, open houses, a diverse stakeholder advisory committee, visits to the farmers markets and events in the neighborhood, living room chats with neighborhood groups, online questionnaires, and multiple presentations to the Chamber of Commerce and other local interest groups. The plan contains policies, design guidelines, programs, projects, and action items intended to support the quality of life in this core area of the city and addresses topics including housing, neighborhood character, parks and open space, environmental quality, land use and redevelopment, transportation and mobility, and public services. Through an agreement with CSU, a number of transportation improvement projects on the West Elizabeth Corridor and Prospect Corridor have been funded and are under construction, including 2 bike pedestrian underpasses that provide safe alternatives to get to the CSU campus. In addition, design guidelines have helped inform numerous infill development projects and upheld neighborhood character. This is one of the core areas of the city that's evolving the most, as many of us know, and a lot of people care about it. This plan gave them all a chance to discuss change and balanced choices. Now I would like to invite up the team rep for a few final words.
Thank you. Yeah, this was a fantastic project to work on, and I think you're never quite sure when you're working on these policy plans what the actual result is going to be and the outcome. in this case, I think it has resulted in some really positive outcomes for the community, like the 2 underpasses at Prospect and Elizabeth. They were really direct outcomes of this effort. And a lot of the success, I think, is from this plan can be attributed to Ted and Rebecca Everett, who worked ridiculously long hours in facilitating outreach, and I think they should be acknowledged for that. But I do have to say, one of the most fun parts of this project was probably hearing Ted's stories along the way. You guys probably, if you know Ted, you all know what I'm talking about. Adventures and misadventures in planning in Fort Collins. That was probably the high point. So thanks for your stories, Ted. Yeah, thank you.
Our next category is urban fragments. The idea for this odd-sounding urban fragments category is to recognize people's work on things such as street furnishings, public art, or other components that add to the beauty, enjoyment, and appreciation of the city environment. Will the representatives from Ringfall please come down? This award is for a public art project. Long-term master street planning led to the widening of Timberline Road near Prospect Road. There was a line of 5 old grain silos there, and 2 of them could not be incorporated into the wider street design. They had to be removed. The city's Art in Public Places program, APP, was triggered by the capital project for the widening. Todd Kundla and Tim Upham, 2 Fort Collins artists, designed a 55-foot sculptural piece as a monument to the 2 historic silos that once stood there. 5 rings represent the original 5 silos. Cascading from the top of a silo, ring fall captures a sense of movement and change. The iconic rings are a symbolic tribute to the agriculture that once dominated the local landscape. Their 18-foot diameter is the same as that of the silos, giving the observer an appreciation of their size. The 2 silos that gave way to progress were serendipitously moved to Twin Silo Park in southeast Fort Collins to start a fabulous new life in the city. The team realized early on that it would be hard to transport 18-foot diameter rings to the site from their workshop without serious oversized load permits. So, part of the public art was the fabrication being done in public view on the land right behind the silos. Disc golfers on the course to the west were privy to the fabrication, and the traffic on Timberline had a great view of the rings flying into position. Ringfall is a homage to the time, place, and way of life the silos represent. To the artists, it marked a transitional time as rural infrastructure gave way to urban expansion. To highlight that, they wanted to direct the walkway through one of the old foundations so that people passed through the former footprint of the silo. That added complexity when excavation revealed a large underground system of funnels and conveyors that were used to empty the silos. With some additional excavation, the 4 caissons were able to reach the full 16-foot below grade. The artists dodged any weather that would have put a damper on the en plein air fabrication as well as operation of the crane. It was typical hot summer June weather in Colorado. Unfortunately, the 3 silver-painted steel monoliths that remained acted as a giant reflector for the afternoon sun, and you could have fried bacon on that flat surface at the work site. Now you know. Now I would like to invite up a team rep for a few final words.
Quick shout out to my wife's Aunt Judy, who's standing in this photo. She took the first photo once we were all done, so that's the actual photo. So, on behalf of the team of us that put this all together, because it was not just me, it was people and ideas and groups making this idea happen, I will gladly accept the award on behalf of all of them, and encourage everyone to just keep up the good work, right?
This next category is for projects that create or contribute great public spaces that invite people to spend time and enjoy the sense of place. Would the representatives for the Exchange please come forward? This award program is about design, and here's a design rendering of the Exchange. And here's how that design vision is experienced today. Pretty close, huh? The Exchange revitalized a run-down parking lot and buildings into a dynamic community space and economic hub. Original use of this block was a livestock exchange, which caught the team's attention early on and inspired the idea of a hub for the exchange of goods, ideas, and all the reasons people get together in cities. With this idea in mind, the team decided on a goal of adaptive reuse. They started thinking that the plaza space could be really cool and fit their goals for a sense of community and incubator space for small, local, and regional business. How do you build for a small, local business? The team considered rail cars, inspired by the railroad that's close by, but landed on shipping containers, upcycled into storefronts. Take a good look at this photo. This is what a bet on a vision by the owners looks like, and this has been tricky to bring together. Scale was an interesting factor for the design team. This plaza is similar in size to Oak Street Plaza, but it creates a completely different scale effect. The plaza brings people together from morning into evening, and we all know the kids love it. There's bingo, ping pong, long games, music, and even swing dance lessons, and Little Man ice cream. It took 5 years for Little Man to find a home in Fort Collins, and that's a whole nother story in itself. But they were perfect partners for this team, aligned to the vision for building community here. The internal placement of the churn allowed it under the land use code for building design and gives room for their long lines. The alley was enhanced with windows and entries. There's public artwork embedded throughout. Walking down the sidewalk, you might see this artwork and think, oh, well, that's pretty well done. But step back, and you see there's a bigger story there to tell about local legend Harper Goff, who used his boyhood memories of Old Town Fort Collins as inspiration for Disney's Main Street USA. I'll leave you with this quote by Jim Reedhead, another local legend and a Hall of Fame recipient, placed on a bench in the Exchange. I find it curious that people travel such great distances to see interesting things, yet we are all so averse to creating things of interest close to our homes. Now I'd like to invite up the team rep for a few final words.
Thank you. I want to first thank the city for having this award program, and I think it's great to recognize all these projects. You know, this exchange was a really interesting project. As an architect, you go through a lot of projects, but this one really stood out, had unique challenges, unique constraints, but also a lot of really cool opportunities, and really just happy to be a part of it. You know, the existing buildings there, they just have a certain texture. They've been around for probably close to a century, and that fabric and that texture is hard to duplicate. So once we were able to peel back several layers of skin that have been put on over the years and get back to some of the original facades, improve some of the other facades that just weren't there, it was really about a repurpose project, and the shipping containers reinforced the sense of repurposing those. And, you know, trying to fit a commercial kitchen in a shipping container, it has some certain challenges, but, you know, those are also are the fun parts of the project, and trying to really come up with unique ways to kind of problem solve. But really, really happy to be a part of this project to really extend this part of College Avenue and a whole nother city block to what is already a great downtown. That's really been amazing, and just to see the people to be a part of that experience. I'd love to go down there and grab ice cream and have a drink, and it just really look forward to seeing kind of what else is going to happen there and as it evolves. I think that's the other part of the story. I think it's still untold. So again, really want to give a quick shout out to Rich, Mark, and Brinkman for believing in this project and really being able to see the potential there. Brinkman Construction did a great job. Our design team members, I know Blake Larson, Eric Richards are here. Kayla Baylor in our office, I'm sorry, Kayla's over there. She was instrumental in really getting this project complete and doing all the construction administration. So I want to give a thank you to her. Thanks, everyone.
Would representatives from the Downtown Alleys team please join us at this time? The Downtown Development Authority's Alleys Master Plan reimagines alleys into a system of engaging walkways that stimulate business activity and help differentiate downtown Fort Collins as the urban center of northern Colorado. That signature project is a first of its kind placemaking effort in the nation specifically for a network of alleys as enhanced public spaces. This project extends the master plan build out by adding 2 multi-pronged alleys to the network extending from downtown to CSU. When this effort first began in 2011, the question from businesses and property owners was, why do you want to do this in a back of house space? Now the question is, when will my alley be built? Every one of these projects has challenging historic downtown conditions to work within, on the surface and below. This West Mountain Alley has an underground stream running through it from under the Walrus ice cream building next to the alley. And here's the alley today. It works for pedestrian use in a shared space with cars and bicycles. Improvements integrate urban design, safety, cleanliness, sustainable drainage and icing improvements, and upgrades of old utilities. Here's another leg of the alley before and today. This is another leg with new parking and bike parking. The DDA has encouraged new and unique elements with each new alley, like the cable light art in West Mountain Alley and the protection mapping mural in the old Firehouse Alley. Figuring out trash and collection is a huge task. Someone goes and talks to every business. It's a lot of work and it's a hard sell. This is that same stretch of alley today. The next basic issue, along with trash and restaurant grease, is proper use of vehicle-rated pavers. The intense stakeholder involvement in design and throughout problem-solving dealt with complex, unusual issues and helped gain overwhelming support for the project. It's inspiring to see alley-fronting businesses making improvements to capitalize on the alleys. And now I'd like to invite up a team rep for a few final words.
The alleys, we make them sound so exciting when we're talking about trash and pavers so much. Like so many people have said before me, but this really comes down to the leadership and the folks that are leading these projects forward, and that's the team at the DDA. Matt, Todd, Derek, those folks see these projects through. They push us to be better designers, to look at details more, but also give us the freedom of designing special places. The cable art structure, got to give a shout out to Todd for doing the mock-up for the cable art thing there. So, but you know, always pushing us to look at things differently, to make each alley unique, because I think that's something that they always want. They want each alley to stand on its own. Excuse me. So I want to give big thanks to them. Thank you.
Next, in the public spaces category, we're happy to invite the Twin Silo Park representatives to join us. With new growth comes the need for new, authentic public spaces that contribute to the city as a whole and also build a real sense of community in newer suburban edge areas. Twin Silo Park is 54 acres along McClellan Creek, across from Fossil Ridge High School of Southeast Fort Collins. Over the last 20 years, the city has grown to envelop this once agrarian landscape with new neighborhoods and schools. This was a major collaborative effort led by Civitas Landscape Architecture and Urban Design, with Ripley Design as the local consultant, working closely with the Park Planning Department, Airbnb architects, neighbors, and many, many others. Through multiple iterations, the team envisioned a sleek and modern interpretation of a traditional farmhouse as the social heart of the park, as part of an overall agrarian theme. Agriculture continued up until the late 1990s, when the city expanded into this area. What's significant is what it means to social life and the culture of Southeast Fort Collins. The goal was to transcend normal park visitation, to encourage people to participate in building their community through activities that bear fruit, both literally and figuratively. Fortuitously, things can happen when professional disciplines talk to each other, like when a city engineer working on a bridge widening on Timberline Road asks a park planner what he has going on and whether he could use some silos. The park team had already been wanting an iconic tall feature, and it fit the theme perfectly. There you go. The play area is like playing in a barn, and the green silos just fit perfectly with that theme. So they were deconstructed, reimagined, and reconstructed as integrated play features. Take a good look at that slide. Would you do it? Should you or shouldn't you? We hear the first time down the slide's the hardest. Grain silos need augers to fill them, and so some of the play features are augers, including this one outside that turns kids around. Anyway, there's nothing like these play structures anywhere else. McClellan Creek runs through the park. Agriculture had severely degraded the creek, and stormwater utilities jumped on this chance to combine efforts to totally reshape it for multiple purposes: conveying flows, beautification, habitat, recreation. Naturalistic landforms reflect creek undulations, erosion, and oxbows, creating a sculpted set of overlooks and picnic spaces connected by paths, trails, and bridges. An intensive partnership with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, city staff, and water resource experts designed and developed the creek channel to make it safe, accessible, and one of the signature attractions of the park. Kids can touch water, push rocks around, catch a frog, or build a dam. This has proven to be wildly successful and loved by the community. And speaking of floodway channels, a BMX bike track had been moved to this site in the past before the park was ever programmed to get it out of a floodway in Adora Park. It was popular, so park designers incorporated a BMX racing track that may now be the best in the state. The park combines all of these unique features with popular play and sport facilities like pickleball, soccer, baseball, softball, a regional dog park, and a running, biking, hiking trail system. The visual character of the park is largely defined by the juxtaposition of native prairie plantings with the domesticated environments of agriculture. A grand-scale hops trellis anchors the heart of the farmhouse gardens with hops that get harvested by local home brewer masters. A community garden is producing heavily, and some of the park trees are a fruit orchard as well. Twin Silo actually engages people to participate in making their public spaces productive through urban agriculture, nature, and play. This is a major social and cultural focal point that is facilitating fun and local traditions that makes the community complete as people build memories. Now I'd like to invite a team rep up to say a few final words.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't realize the city could give itself an award, but apparently they can. So, yeah, I know. This was an amazing project to work on with these team members. Everyone put in so much work, and I can't say enough even to the public. We had 4 open houses with this, and two that were kind of offline with neighbors. And really, they helped drive a lot of this park design. Many of the things, the features you see with the way that's parked and organized was because of comments that we got back from the public. So we really took that to heart, and this team did an amazing job putting it all together. But it was something to take some silos and make those a play feature. So we had a lot of fun doing that. It was a lot of racking of brains, but I really give a lot of credit to Create Play, who designed the play feature in there. It's kind of a one-of-a-kind feature if you haven't seen it. And they couldn't be here because they're in another part of the country. But the other thing, too, is you cannot fry bacon on that thing. So I don't know. You might have at one time, but you can't anymore. So it's completely safe. So other than screaming when you're going down the slide. So, but yeah, it's hats off to the team here, Civitas and Ripley, for their help on this project. We couldn't have done it without their help. So thanks.
Next is Mulberry Bridge. Would the representatives from this project please come forward? For years, the state has planned a new expanded bridge crossing the Cache La Poudre River on Highway 14 Mulberry Street. And for decades, city planning identified this stretch of Mulberry as an exceptional gateway entering the city and downtown. This is where you really feel like you finally entered Fort Collins, the city you love. When the time came for CDOT's construction, the city added funding to enhance the bridge and its setting. Local character is expressed in the new bridge's detailing, with stone columns, cables and joinery, open railing that allows views to the river, and adding lightness and colorful flower pots. The whole design mitigates the bridge's large scale and creates a sense of place, day, evening, and night. Friends passing by saw the photographer and came running out down the median to say hello. Probably not recommended by CDOT, but shows the mitigation of the highway. Special lighting adds a major urban design dimension. The project includes bike trail connections as well, streetscapes leading to the bridge with median landscaping, irrigation for the colorful, wonderful plantings, native landscaping around the new bridge, and public art that adds another dimension down along the trail under the bridge. Now I'd like to invite the team rep up for a few final words.
Well, thank you. I guess first I just want to say how inspired I am by everyone's work, and so happy to live and work in this city and be able to enjoy all of it. And I also want to say thank you to the city for taking the time to do this. This is people have put their hearts and lives and into this, and it's really something special, and it means a lot to us. So thank you. I guess I feel lucky to be a landscape architect in this city because there's just so many great opportunities that the city provides, and you know, bridges are a way to overcome obstacles. They create connections and are often the only way to reach a destination. I love the symbology that goes along with the bridge. And the Poudre River is a magical place that's deeply connected to our city's identity. And this bridge was meant to celebrate the river's presence and its beauty, and to welcome people to the city. I want to say thank you to CDOT for building this bridge, and for the city recognizing the opportunity to see more potential in that bridge, and for finding funding when this project surprised the city and making it possible to turn it into something more. And I'd also like to thank the city's capital projects team, Dean Klingner, Kyle Lambrecht, Caleb Fever. We're such a joy to work with, and really pushed us in terms of design to do things better and better. And I'd also like to say thanks to Bruce Hendy, who at that time worked at the city. He used to own BHA Design, but now for a while he spent time working at the city, and he took a lot of time to collaborate with us on this bridge design, and he made a big difference. And then also Jill McKay and the APP board spent a lot of time with us trying to get just the right artwork that reflects the beautiful landscape surrounding. So I guess in closing, I'd just like to encourage all of you to go out and enjoy the Poudre River. And maybe a shameless plug here for the Whitewater Park opening on October 12th from 10 to noon. So come out and enjoy that.
This next category is for a project that has significant or special benefits for environmental stewardship, social sustainability, economic vitality, or a balance among the three. I'm pleased to ask the representatives from the Pavilion at Laurel Village project to join us. This is a high-performance building at the heart of the re-envisioned Laurel Village North residential campus at CSU. The pavilion approaches education through the students' eyes, beyond classroom education, and into the daily interactions that make up a meaningful college experience. At every step of the design process, the team considered how to infuse the backdrop of student life with inspiration and understanding of environmental stewardship. There were many highlights for the committee to recognize. First, LEED Platinum building at CSU. First cross laminated timber building in the United States. And the first ski slope in a residential village. The design emerged from the idea that solutions grow from place. The living slope and great green provide the outdoor space for friends to meet. The building facade provides the backdrop for movie nights. The tower provides a beacon and iconic form that marks the village center. The building also provides an opportunity to teach and learn how a building works, from material science to the importance of daylight. The building was shaped in response to its site. The katabatic cooling tower harnesses the wind, tempers warm air through hydronic misters, and circulates cool air across the living wall, oxygenating the space and providing a welcoming first impression. The design encourages you to use the stairs, learn how to fix your bike, and find places to see and be seen. This urban design program is mostly about outdoor spaces and not interior design, but when sustainability is the focus, and especially when the indoors and outdoors really do flow together, the committee considers it. In-house use range from recreation and social lounges, eco-leader offices to hangout hammocks. Let the building breathe. Open the garage doors and hang out on the front porch. Amazing projects require the vision of amazing clients. 4240. What if we built a ski slope on the side of the pavilion? CSU. Great idea. Go for it. Introducing the first student ski slope in a residential village, 16-foot vertical. Whether a student is meeting a friend on the slope, studying in the agora, or visiting the spoke bike shop, they're passing through a passively heated or cooled building, breathing naturally tempered air. This significantly cuts down on emissions and also teaches sustainability by making the high-performance features part of daily life, encouraging students to develop an awareness and appreciation for conscious decisions. Finally, the team's best reward comes from its satisfied users, the students of CSU. It's already featured in multiple articles about different aspects of the design, and it's already garnered multiple awards. The last one there is the Society for College and University Planning, an AIA Committee on Architecture for Education. Now I would like to invite the team rep up for a few final words.
So I'm Lou Beaker. The reason I say that is I actually am a local boy. I was born in Kansas, and then my parents had the common sense to move my sisters and I to Fort Collins in 1996. I'm sorry, 1976. But then we'd drive back to Kansas every summer to visit my grandparents in Hayes, and through many years of back and forth between Hayes and Fort Collins, I came to understand that it's very flat in eastern Colorado and western Kansas. And this site was very flat when we got on board and looked at it for the first time. So our idea, and again with a lot of partners and a lot of really great team members, was how can we create something flat like a cornfield and create a cool place for 18-year-old students that maybe never have been in Fort Collins before to come and call this their home. And so that's easy on a design side. What's hard is to convince a client, particularly an institutional client with all sorts of slip and fall requirements in the building codes, to build a ski slope on the side of a building. So this is a gigantic thanks to a visionary client who's here tonight, former Executive Director Dr. James Dolek, and current Executive Director of Housing and Dining Services, Mari Strombaum with CSU, who embraced that curiosity and recognized that this wasn't a project for them, this was a project for students, and this was the students' home. And so how can you think like and design for 18-year-olds coming to your campus and creating that sense of home? Our solution was a ski slope. So thank you all. Again, Craig and John, thanks for helping us as well.
And that brings us to a grand finale for the night. The Hall of Fame Award is for a continued and significant contribution to urban design in Fort Collins. We have a very special situation here with awards going to the 3 founders, principals, and practitioners of VFLA Architects: Frank Vaught, Joe Fry, and Justin Larson. Only insiders know how much their work has been part of the life of Fort Collins. Tonight's award may give you some new perspective on some of the places you see here around town. We at the city are excited that VFLA team members embraced this program and committed to joining in the presentations. There's no way anyone could do them justice or their body of work other than someone who has worked with all 3 of these people. Chris Aronson with VFLA added the A onto the VFL and will present these awards tonight. Chris.
All right, so I've been fortunate to work with the 3 of these fine gentlemen for a while, but I know the person in the audience that has worked with them the longest is Robin Pelkey. So I want to give a big shout out to her. She's kind of the brains of our operation and keeps us functioning and keeps us on the rails. So thank you. And then, yes. So, and then I'm going to just give a high overview of Frank, Joe, and Justin, and then love to have, I think Sandra's going to say a few words, and then Joe have a few words. So, so Frank Vaught, Joe Fry, Justin Larson, to anyone in the development community of Northern Colorado, those 3 names exemplify dedication to the profession of architecture and the commitment to the city of Fort Collins. Even if many area residents don't know these names individually, we can all recognize the decades-long impact these 3 men have had on our local cityscape and built environment. You experience that legacy and vision every time you visit historic Northern Hotel or Ginger and Baker, or every time you pass by the In Situ building on Lincoln or catch a glimpse of the Linden Hotel adjacent to Old Town Square. Whether it's Magnolia Lofts or Oak Street Lofts, whether it's First National Bank or First Bank or Bank of Colorado, whether it's the Harmony One building in Southeast Fort Collins or the Columbine Health Facility throughout Northern Colorado. Merely by living and traveling and working alongside the area landmarks and local touchstones, we all inhabit the creativity, drive, passion, and commitment to excellence of Frank, Joe, and Justin. The core foundation of VFLA traces all the way back to 1966, to the friendship established between Frank and Joe as freshmen, 18-year-olds, at the University of Houston. The duo moved to Fort Collins in 1971 and founded Design Associates 2 years later. In 1975, they merged with new partners to form ZVFK. 9 years later, they left that company and in 1986 started Vaught Fry Architects. The L was added to the company name in 2011 when Vaught Fry Architects merged with Justin Larson's firm, JCL. Last year, they updated their name by throwing my name into the mix. They didn't think it was long enough. So now it's Vaught Fry Larson Aronson Architects, by which we go by VFLA. So I want to give a shout out to our team here. Everybody raise their hand. Woo woo! We're a staff of 22 at the moment. We've been as high as 35 and as low as 5. So the team's been at 22 for a while, and they've been through some tremendous change in the last year, and they've been amazing soldiers for all of us. So I want to thank them, giving me and everybody else in the firm support. Frank and Joe set forth some amazing core values that we practice today of respect, pride, responsibility, and vibrancy. These things are what we try to practice every day with our clients, with design. In January, we tragically lost Justin in a motorcycle accident. His bright energy is deeply missed every day. His loss reminds us to take on each day with gusto and to live every day. He was a passionate architect who couldn't wait to come to work. He would occasionally wake up at 4 a.m. and turn to Sandra and say, "Is it too early to go to work?" Justin was also known to tell elaborate stories, which he fondly talked about at our office. He helped carry on the rich office culture that Frank and Joe built to take VFLA into the next generation of leadership. Frank is a traveler, and he's not here tonight. He's on a plane back from Barcelona. So I know Joe will say a few words on his behalf. Maybe. When describing Justin, Matt Robinault of the DDA said, "By linking to our past in a way that few of us had ever contemplated, Justin helped to awaken our community and carve a path toward a brighter future of urban design and architecture." Justin's passing was a shock to our entire industry, and the last 9 months without him made us all more grateful for the strong, resilient foundation laid by Frank and Joe. To provide a full account of Frank and Joe's body of work in Fort Collins and northern Colorado and southern Wyoming, Joe would have to start a class. And it would be a seminar. So I'm not going to go off on the full history of the firm and their body of work, but you guys can see by the slideshow some of the fun stuff that they've done and really focus on office culture. But after a half century in the business, their portfolio has proven less important to them than the relationships they made along the way. Relationships with the peers, the young colleagues, the city staff, and the elected officials, contractors, engineers, they've all become friends, and that's what's made Fort Collins and practicing in Fort Collins great. Longtime client Spiro Palmer says of Frank, "Although I have sat in many conference rooms with Frank for presentations and graphics, the one that stands out are the times that he draws on the back of a napkin, and that turns into a project. Frank has an amazing ability to draw to specific scales and has an amazing hand. He is always looking for ways to make a plan function better. Some have said that he has a built-in camera in his mind and the ability to put anything on paper or a napkin." Joe, likewise, approached every project with a focus on superior design, excellence, and teamwork. His creative problem-solving skills were a strong asset that clients loved. Joe had an innate ability to get a team to engage in problem-solving and come up with the best solution for the project. As a longtime client, Stu McMillan said, "Joe Fry approached all my projects with sincere enthusiasm and acted as he was actually our owner's rep. He was always looking for the best possible outcome that included creative design for buildings that worked for both the short term and the long term. He truly made our whole process fun." Frank and Joe built a strong firm culture based on collaboration, teamwork, and creativity that was all focused around enhancing design and client satisfaction. The office culture is still thriving on that today. Thank you. All three men have proven themselves devoted to the city of Fort Collins, especially to Old Town, where we maintain our office today. Their talents, perseverance, and dedication set a high bar for the next generation of designers and architects. VFLA is excited to continue to grow and evolve at the forefront of architecture and to honor our founding partners' visions and core values. We look forward to continuing to work with the city to extend the impact of Frank, Joe, and Justin for decades to come. And thank you and congratulations to Frank Vaught, Joe Fry, Justin Larson. We love you all. Thank you.
And Joe, I'd like to invite you up to say a few final words.
Thank you, Chris. That was very, very good. You know, you associate this kind of an award with being old. But I saw that mural of Harper Goff, and I just reminded my wife that I actually met Harper Goff one late night on a penthouse at the Astroworld Hotel back in the 60s. But I didn't know I was going to move to Fort Collins at the time. But Frank and I ended up here after college, and it was so great. It's such an honor to accept this award with Frank, my longtime friend, and Justin, who I miss dearly. We've been so privileged to work in this community that appreciates design and quality of life, and we're very grateful for it. And thanks to all you guys we worked with, consultants, clients. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Sandra, Justin's wife, is here to accept the award on Justin's behalf. Sandra, we are so grateful that you're here tonight to accept this award. Many, if not most people here tonight can see and hear Justin and will not forget him. Sandra, if you'd like to say a few words.
Hi, everyone. Gosh, I came with some prepared notes, and I wasn't sure either way if I'd be brave enough to do it, but Fry Larson, the whole team, has a way of kind of giving me some extra wings along with Justin's spirit. So I just want to thank the city and all of you for coming together for this type of an event. I think, Ian, you said it best. What a privilege to be a non-architect, non-builder, non-designer, and watch all of you value each other's work and art. And I can feel Justin's eyes alight and his appreciation for every single project here that was nominated and that's been awarded. And every single one, it was gorgeous to hear more of the stories behind them, because my life has interacted with all of them. And I thank you too, just as a resident of this beautiful city. In preparing to speak, I don't want to take too much time, but I just can't share enough that I was so encouraged by Chris and Robin to come tonight and be a part of this and stand for Justin. And it's not even right that I do so. He had the universe played a bit of a joke on him, and he fell in love with a woman that has almost no visual sense whatsoever. I'm much more about words, and he would share these drawings with me that seemed to come together before I woke up, between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. And he'd be so excited, and I'd just kind of stare at them and say, and I'd never know what they would be until I got to tour the space. And at any rate, we like to think we were a great yin and yang together. And I can tell you it's a beautiful thing to share your life with someone who is absolutely in love with what they do and is committed to it because they have to be. They wouldn't be anything else. I don't want to take too long, but this is just important to me to say, because this moment was also something I didn't know I'd have, and this community of architects and designers and builders and contractors and clients, the way you supported VFLA and the way you supported me was just extraordinary. And it shows to me, I always knew why Justin loved working in this community, but boy, I've been kind of adopted into your tribe, and it's an incredible feeling, and it's kept me standing. So I really thank you. In having to go through some of Justin's things, I just wanted to share part of a nomination letter that was written for Justin in 2008 by Vicki Lutz, who was the executive director of Crossroads Safe House at that time. And what she said was, among Justin's significant achievements in the community has been designing Gratis, a new domestic violence facility for Crossroads Safe House. He volunteered his time to perform this time-intensive work more than a year and a half ago, and has been the linchpin of Crossroads' efforts ever since. It's fair to say that without Justin's leadership and talent, there would be no new safe house. Instead, he's creating what surely will become a national model. It has. He's an inspiration, and at 35 years of age, already a remarkable leader. 10 years after Vicki wrote that nomination, she wrote of Justin again, but this time in a beautiful condolence card that she sent to me. It read, "My heart goes out to you. It's trite to say, and perhaps of little comfort at this time, but Justin lives on in the lives he saved, And here I'm thinking about the shelter he envisioned and created for battered women and their children. Hardly trite, and it blows me away when I think about those words. But I don't think it's too much to put that with all of you in creating things that will live on beyond you and that truly have changed our community for the better. That was what he was the most proud of, to be a part of your profession and what you do. So my whole intent with this really was that for tonight's celebration, I wanted to keep focus where it should be, which is on Frank Vaught and Joe Fry. They are our region's living legends. And it's fair to say they took a real chance setting up shop here 30, 40 years ago. And a big reason our city remains recognized for its character and the great quality of life that it does came by your hard work and dedication and vision. Frank and Joe, I personally want to thank you for seeing in Justin a colleague, a leader, and a friend who you wanted to grow your already successful firm with. He was so proud to gain your confidence and join the family. Something that's kept me going after losing Justin is that I know he was a complete person. And an important way he could achieve that wholeness was remaining dedicated to his craft as an architect and growing with all of you at VFLA. Thank you for creating your firm and the opportunities for Justin to feel that sense of connection and pride in his short lifetime. I only regret that we can't see more of what he would have done for our beautiful city. Thanks.
Now I'd like to invite Chris up to accept the award on behalf of Frank, who couldn't be here tonight, and invite the other members of the Hall of Fame Awards tonight back up for a photo of the three of you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us home tonight. I want to end the night by saying thank you from the city. Thank you for your creativity that we've all seen tonight. Thank you for the passion, for the time and the effort that you've all invested for years in this community that we call home. When we reviewed these first 42 entries, the word I would say that we felt was encouraged. Encouraged that you're all a part of this community. The work that you're doing is inspiring, so thank you. We hope you see our city a little differently as you move through it now, and maybe recognize the work of the people in this room. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you in 2021. Good night, everyone.